Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Prakash. Siddharth. We never had you here. That is a new face, and Bhavana as well. Welcome, both of you, to our Bhagavad Gita workshop. I just wonder, how did you find us? Via Facebook, Twitter, or which else? Hare Krishna. Yes, we'll have a... And Pandava Prabhu and Bhagavati Mataji are also here. Yes, Hare Krishna. So we can start. Again, welcome Pandava Prabhu, Bhagavati Mataji, Prakash, Siddharth, and Bhavana. Shall we start with a little bit of Kirtan? And I would ask Pandava Prabhu and Bhagavati Mataji to give us a little bit of some Kirtan. That would be very nice. How is that?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And if you have your video sideways, your camera, and nobody walks in front, and you are happy, we'll spotlight you, put you full in the pictures, and we can do that. What do you say? Are you happy with spotlighted?
Trying.
What was that?
We are trying.
Okay. You are trying. What are you trying?
Where is this? I mean, I don't have really good telephone. That's the problem. The other one.
That is true. If you put your video on, actually, your line suffers. I have seen that last time and breaks up. Perhaps we just have your audio on and you stop your video and everybody else stops their video as well. Then, well, no, it doesn't matter for anybody else, but your audio will improve if you don't have your video on, Pandava Prabhu.
So, hello, everybody. This is us. Nice to see you. Nice to hear you. Meet you again. We'll turn off the video now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya nie pasuje mi. I'm sorry, didn't work out. Hare Krishna. Jaya Gauranitai. That's not the tune. That's not the tune. Sorry. Przepraszam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Very nice. Very nice, sir. Oh, we missed you so much, sir. Beautiful kirtan. We don't seem to get enough, but you're here tonight, and that is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for your beautiful kirtan. And it just worked out perfectly well. Right. Welcome, Pandava Prabhu, Bhagavati Mataji, Prakash, and Siddhartha. Bhavana has gone. So Varshana will probably come a bit later, and whoever else, and Rashmi, of course, and we shall see. So I hope you're all well. We had a beautiful Bhagavad Gita session on Wednesday, and every Wednesday with many more people than are here now. Quite a good, so that Wednesday seems to overtake the Saturday. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is very popular. More popular than the Srimad Bhagavatam, it looks like. So, I will post into the chat for everyone our verse for tonight. Well, that's it, not verse for tonight. We are doing text 18 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of the first canto, 11th chapter, text 18. And here we go. So everybody can see text 18. And I would invite Pandava Prabhu or Bhagavati Mataji to read us the first shloka, text 18, because you have to go after 1 hour. So how is that? Text 18, Pandava or Bhagavati.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Varanandram Puraskritya Brahmanai Susamangalai Sankha Turya Ninadana Brahma Goshana Chadrita Pratyujagmurathai Hrishta Pranayagata Sadvasaha. Translation. They hastened toward the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune. Conch shells and bugles were sounded, and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. Purport. The Vedic way of receiving a great personality creates an atmosphere of respect, which is saturated with affection and veneration for the person received. The auspicious atmosphere of such a reception depends on the paraphernalia described above, including conch shells, flowers, incense, decorated elephants, and the qualified brahmanas reciting verses from the Vedic literatures. Such a program of reception is full of sincerity on the part of both the receiver and the received.
Thank you very much, Pandava Prabhu. Welcome, Swati. Hare Krishna. Stay with us.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you. Very nice to hear you. Hare Krishna. How did you find us?
It was through Nottingham Indian Forum. I got to know about it just a few minutes ago, and I just found wish to join. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Where are you situated? Which continent? Which country?
It's in UK, Nottingham.
Okay, you are in UK, so your time is not too bad. If you would be in Delhi, then it would be very, very late. Like our Prakash, who is here, he is in Delhi, and he is so much dedicated that he doesn't mind to go midnight after midnight.
It must be 1:45. It must be 1:45 there.
Yes, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And where are you, sir, from?
We are all here in the UK. I'm in the UK here as well, in Leicester.
All right. All right.
From the Hare Krishna Center in Leicester.
Okay. All right.
And we do, Swati, we do have a program like that on a Wednesday, a Bhagavad Gita workshop. It's actually a Bhakti Shastri degree course. So we're really getting a very nice idea of the Bhagavad Gita and overview. We just have started. Next Wednesday, it will be the third session. And I would be happy to invite you to our same time, same link. If you send me privately your phone number, I'll put you on our WhatsApp group where the invitation will be posted, if you're interested.
Right. So basically, I usually attend the Bhagavad Gita lessons. It is from Dubai, and there is one Brij Prabhuji who takes the lessons, and all the devotees are mainly from Dubai, but the devotees are, I got to know about it through my parents, my brother, and my sister-in-law. So I told the UK residents as well, whom I know of. So they have also started attending, and from India as well. So there are loads of devotees from various places. And today I just saw some videos, and my brother showed me the live video from there. It was an occasion which was celebrated during the Kartik Mass, and there were beautiful jhankis and chappan bhog, which was decorated, and it was beautiful. So basically, that is how I am connected with Bhagavad Gita. I'm not 100% sure whether I will be able to join every time, but yes, it's close to my heart. Thank you.
Oh, Hare Krishna, that sounds very exciting in Dubai. And yes, fantastic. Yes, keep on attending that. And if you can, come here in this same space on a Wednesday and for Bhagavad Gita. And on a Saturday for Srimad Bhagavatam. We are at the first canto, 11th chapter, text 18. Pandava has just been reading.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Stay with us and come back anytime. Same link. You are most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So,
thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Welcome
Hare Krishna.
also to Rashika. It is nice to see you tonight, Rashika. Stay with us and come back on a Wednesday for our Bhagavad Gita lesson. And welcome Rashmi as well. Hare Krishna. Pandava has just been reading the 18th shloka of the 11th chapter. Is there anything to be said about this shloka? Quite a very short purport.
Short purport. Of course, it's one of the verses giving us the idea how residents of Dvaraka received Krishna that was coming after some absence in their cities. So we have to understand that these were all family members or servants of devotees who lived in Dvaraka. So they were dedicated only to Krishna. So the details will be provided in next verses. So in this purport, Prabhupada says that the reception depends on the paraphernalia of the one who receives the guest. So because they were kshatriyas, they were powerful men, and they just received Krishna with full pomp, and like we hear from here with the elephants and emblem of good fortune, brahmanas and having flowers, the hymns, Vedic hymns were chanted, incense and all the rich reception. But as the contrast, or maybe not really a negative contrast, but we have story in Srimad Bhagavatam later on when Krishna visited different areas of India, and he was visiting, I don't have good memory, but there was a king Bahulashva and Brahmin with the name I don't remember, unfortunately. So in that story we can read how Krishna was received by the king Kshatriya with similar rich opening according to his position. And then later on, when Krishna, or not later on, when at the same time actually Krishna showed his mystic powers, and he split in two. He visited Brahmana and the king Bahulashva at the same time. So everyone, whoever was in that place, thought that Krishna was only there. So Brahmin was, of course, living very simple life, and he received Krishna with simple mat on the floor, not even any chair or cushions, and nothing really fancy, but because it was done with devotion and affection for Krishna, he welcomed that and received simple greetings and simple offering of arati, and then some little food. So it doesn't mean that we can please Krishna with some big offerings. Our devotion, according to our position, is more important than external show.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Pandava Prabhu. Beautiful explanation. I was just reading the other day that Krishna is, today actually, is reciprocating, and we know that he's reciprocating with everyone according to their realization. And Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna is reciprocating in a very personal way. Pandava Prabhu, you just spoke about Krishna's family. Well, we are all Krishna's family. And if we don't feel we are Krishna's family, we have to come to the point. We have to join Krishna's family. Amazing. We can join Krishna's family. Krishna is known as Bhakta Vatsalya. He is very much inclined to his devotees. He very much loves his devotees. So in that quote, it was said that Krishna is reciprocating also with the impersonalists. How is he reciprocating with the impersonalists? He doesn't get personally involved with them. So it was very nicely expressed. With anyone who is on the impersonal path, Krishna keeps also impersonal. He's not getting personally involved. But with his devotees, he's getting very personally involved, even to the point where he says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I provide for my devotees what they lack and I preserve what they have. Now, how much more personal involvement can it be? So it depends on our realization. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anyone has any question to that verse? Hare Krishna Prakashji, you have to go. It is late. You have to go to sleep. Anyway, you were here for some time, and that is very much appreciated. You sleep well, and may Krishna's blessings be on you a million times. And we'll see you on Wednesday for Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. So, shall we go? If there are no questions, there is some. Then we go to the next shloka, which is shloka 19. And I would like to ask Rashmi Mataji if you can do shloka 19. And after that,
Prabhuji, I'll do that in a bit if you can ask somebody else.
I beg
to
your
do
pardon?
it. Can
Can't
you ask
hear you.
somebody else? Can you ask
Ask somebody
else?
else. Yes. So what about Rushika? Would you be happy to read the next shloka, which is 19? How is that? We can't hear you. You had some problems with your microphone last time, and perhaps you have the same problems now. I don't know. It shows here your microphone is on, but no sound at all. I'm so sorry. Okay, anybody else would like to read?
Hello?
Oh, yes. Is that Rashika? There was some sound.
Hello?
Yes? That was Rashika. Hare Krishna. We can hear you now. The best is, of course, you have headphones, little headphones which come along with a mobile handset. That works very, very well. So, Rashika, will you be able to read us text 19 of the Bhagavatam? No, we can't hear you again. That audio needs to be sorted out. Okay, I will ask then. What about Bhagavati Mataji? Text 19, how is that?
Just one.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, text, chapter 11, text 19. Vadamukyascha shatasho yanaistat darsha notsuka rasat kundala nirbata kapola vadana shriya. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. Purport: we may not hate even the prostitutes if they are devotees of the Lord. Even to date, there are many, even today, there are many prostitutes in great cities of India who are sincere devotees of the Lord. By tricks of chance, one may be obliged to adopt a profession which is not very adorable in society, but that doesn't hamper one in executing devotional service to the Lord. Devotional service to the Lord is uncheckable in all circumstances. It is understood herewith that even in those days, about 5,000 years ago, there were prostitutes in a city like Dvaraka, where Lord Krishna resided. This means that prostitutes are necessary citizens for the proper upkeep of society. The government opens wine shops, but this doesn't mean that the government encourages the drinking of wine. The idea is that there's a class of men who will drink at any cost, and it has been experienced that prohibition in great cities encouraged illicit smuggling of wine. Similarly, men who are not satisfied at home require such concessions, and if there is no prostitute, then such low men will induce others into prostitution. It is better that prostitutes be available in the marketplace so that the sanctity of society can be maintained. It is better to maintain a class of prostitutes than to encourage prostitutes within society. The real reformation is to enlighten all people to become devotees of the Lord, and that will check all kinds of deteriorating factors of life. Sri Birvanamangala Thakura, a great acharya of the Vishnu Swami Vaishnava sect, in his householder life was overly attached to a prostitute who happened to be a devotee of the Lord. One night, when the Thakura came to Chintamani's house in torrents of rain and thunder, Chintamani was astonished to see how the Thakur could come on such a dreadful night after crossing a foaming river, which was full of waves. She said to Thakur Bilvarmangala that his attraction for the flesh and bone of an insignificant woman like her would be properly utilized if it could be diverted to the devotional service of the Lord to achieve attraction for the transcendental beauty of the Lord. It was a momentous hour for the Thakur, and he took a turn towards spiritual realization by the words of a prostitute. Later on, the Thakura accepted the prostitute as his spiritual master, and in several places in his literary works, he has glorified the name of Chintamani, who showed him the right path. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, a son of Trita, even the low-born chandalas, and those who are born in a family of unbelievers, and even the prostitutes shall attain perfection of life if they take shelter of unalloyed devotional service to me. Because in the path of devotional service there are no impediments due to degraded birth and occupation. The path is open for everyone who agrees to follow it. It appears that the prostitutes of Dvaraka, who were so eager to meet the Lord, were all his unalloyed devotees, and thus they were all on the path of salvation according to the above version of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, the only reformation that is necessary in society is to make an organized effort to turn the citizens into devotees of the Lord, and thus all good qualities of the denizens of heaven will overtake them in their own way. On the other hand, those who are non-devotees have no good qualifications whatsoever, however they may be materially advanced. The difference is that the devotees of the Lord are on the path of liberation, whereas the non-devotees are on the path of further entanglement in material bondage. The criterion of advancement of civilization is whether the people are educated and advanced on the path of salvation.
Thank you very much, Bhagavati Mataji, a long purporter. And
Long-
some may find a controversial purport in some ways. Welcome, Amma. Also, in the meantime, well, what needs to be said? You want to say a little bit something? I mean, there is some very interesting points.
As you already have mentioned, this is really a controversial point. And as for myself, remembering at the very beginning, reading this part of the Bhagavatam, I was a bit astonished, and it took me some time to balance the thinking about this, what is here presented by Srila Prabhupada. So there are few points which can be stressed after reading such verse and such purport on this particular purport. So I would like one thought is that we should shouldn't judge anyone, because externally somebody can be performing some activities, professional activities, which are even condemned by the society, and at the same time this person can be trying to serve Krishna or serve the Lord or remember, like this is connected to this story of Bilva Mangal Thakur, that although Chintamani was a prostitute, but she was aware that his kind of profession, her kind of profession is not really the highest achievement and highest and the desired goal of any woman, but at the same and she was much more conscious of the material entanglement in her case by this profession. That's why her thoughts were much more directed into spirituality, than the thoughts of the Brahmin who was learned in Shastras and reading, and but his thoughts were on the sex life and on, so it is actually quotation from the Bible that not judge anyone, because to avoid being judged by others. And also this story of Bilva Mangal Thakur, who can be read, everybody can find more of it, the whole story in the Bhagavatam, or even in the internet. You can, it is very very deep, and because it is the story is also quite kind of like a picture. You can picture the whole story in your mind, so it is easier to remember. And as an example, and then we all, or most of us at least, or I think maybe all of us, know that what happened to Bilva Mangal Thakur later, because he eventually he made himself blind, because he realized that his sense of sight is the cause of the fall down, because he loved to see beautiful women and he couldn't avoid it. So, and then he became one of the most elevated Vaishnava acharyas. So these are like points for us, that first of all, devotion for Krishna can be developed by anyone, and we should really avoid judging anybody, even non-devotees, on the basis of external situation. And the other thing is what the preaching of by Chintamani herself, that actually, if we can convert our attachment and like our desires to enjoy life in this material world, because we love different things, we like different things, we are attached. If we love somebody or something very much, then we become attached to that. If all of this attachment could be transferred to Krishna, to spiritual activities, then we will attain the perfection of life.
Thank you so much, Bhagavati Mataji.
Be said, but this is what I say. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nicely explained. Anyone has a question to that shloka? Or a comment? To that seemingly controversial shloka. Of course it is not, but...
It is not controversial, Prabhuji, at all, because it is not, if you ask anybody in India, they will tell you it is not at all controversial, because if in fact, these ladies, these areas, like it is mentioned here, they are on outskirts of the city and all that, but there is one, I cannot recollect which ceremony it is. It is done by the people who worship Durga. In fact, for that particular puja, they take the dust from the prostitutes' homes for that ceremony, for that puja. So, because if these ladies were not there, then it would be insane in the society. It would, because of their work, they keep, like Prabhupada said, sanity in the society. Other ladies can live and walk around peacefully. So it is
Okay.
not controversial.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anything else, anyone?
Maybe I will just a few words. Maybe it's controversial for Western world because for so many centuries, Christian preached the purity. They try to reinforce. That's why we have the one branch of Christianity is called Puritans. So they were going into so extreme concepts that all that is just exaggeration actually. So in the Western world, this could be controversial. Of course, the issue with the prostitution exists, and they are trying to solve this issue, but that's the side effect of that Christian dogma teachings. So definitely, like Rashmi said, in India, it's understood in so many ways, and that's why it's more acceptable, or it's acceptable.
Actually, if I can, I think still in the Western world, prostitution is condemned by the society, actually. Although everybody knows that there are prostitutes and there are such places, but by, let's say, so-called normal people, they are condemned. And also the police is quite often checking them. And so according to this, what we read in Bhagavatam, in ancient societies, not only Indian, not only the society of India, I understand, the prostitutes were part of the society. And it was not so much difference between everybody else and them, this lady. We can read about Japanese tradition, Greek or ancient Greek tradition, and others. And nowadays, as Pandava Prabhu said, this was most probably started by Christian preaching. And then the result is that these women, sometimes even forced to become prostitutes, and many of them, as I even read, they are, very unhappy, and it is because it is condemned. They know that will be condemned. So this understanding, which was given by Rashmi Mataji, this is something. It is a proof that for instance, Society of India is still following some of the more ancient, like, I don't know, understanding or division of the society. And
Okay, thank you.
So,
Thank you, Bhagavati. Amar, you have your hand up.
Krishna, everyone, thanks for that. So I know you were asking around about this specific purport that you were mentioning and the controversy around it, but yeah, I agree that there is no real controversy about this firstly with devotees, and of course in Indian culture. One of the examples I know of in Indian culture, where in India there have been temples, quite ancient temples that still exist now, and they were actually put in place for those devotees basically to overcome any type of greed, anger, or lust, right? So that there's all these, and there's various different temples for different types of students, and one of them is of a temple, and it's still around now, and it's especially made for these devotees of monks of quite high order, as part of their training. And basically the whole temple inside, parts of the temple are actually has, and it's, again, it can be looked upon quite controversially, where there are images and statues of sexual nature, intentionally, actually in the walls of the temple. And the whole purpose is that there's those levels of monks, when they get through certain types of levels of training their minds, they come to the level of understanding of, as in the Bhagavad Gita, and of course Gauranga Prabhuji can probably advise here, where Krishna says to Arjun, the devotee who sees no difference between gold and stone and soil, is in that state of understanding the supreme Brahman, of course the Param Brahman, Param Brahma, and they see no difference between. Ultimately, what the monks have basically training them to see is that there's no difference between, I don't know, a piece of stone to a piece of plastic to cardboard to a piece of flesh to someone's living flesh to sexual act to anger, act of anger, to a piece of wood lying on the floor. Anything. These are all, ultimately, it's all Brahman. It is all one. If you were to boil it down to its ultimate state, it is Brahman. There's no difference. It's that one entity that pervades the entire universe, of which, of course, Krishna is the controller of. And it is that level. So therefore, when they go into this temple, they're not to run through the temple and close their eyes. These monks are to actually see these images and walk to the very end. And it's quite a long corridor of seeing these images and these statues and stuff in these sexual acts. They're actually on the outside of the temple as well, so they can't be avoided, with the intent whereby the guru will actually assess them at the end of it and look straight into their eyes and see if they are at all tinged by any type of material nature by the time they come to the end. And that is actually, the temple is built with that intention. Of course, those who are not trained, of course, they're going to see it with condemnation, but the reasoning is it's not actually made for them. Not any old Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk into these temples. It's not actually made for them, and that's probably why this question has come up about controversy. But actually, it's not meant for controversy. It's actually meant for a deep, high-level spiritual awakening. So that's what I wanted to mention. But yeah.
Thank you, Amar.
Yeah.
I think you were speaking, or perhaps about the Sun Temple Konark or something like that in South India. It has another function.
Yes.
That temple. Those who are not serious about spiritual development, they're staying on the outside. It's a screening process. They're staying on the outside, walking around the temple and looking at these images, and they never venture into it. Those who are spiritually advanced, they will go straight into the temple. Okay, enough on that. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next shloka, which is shloka 20. I would like to ask Rashmi Mataji, can you take us to shloka 20? How is that, Rashmi? Are you there?
But there may be, yes, I'm there, Prabhuji, but there may be background noise because I'm in the kitchen.
It's quiet at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, we are on
20.
20. Bear with me. I just have to find the verse in my book.
Nata.
Yeah, text 20. Nata nartaka nata nartaka gandharva suta magadha vandina gayanti chotas mashloke charitanya bhutani cha. Translation: expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord. Thus they proceeded on and on. It appeared that 5,000 years ago, the society also needed the services of the dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, public speakers, etc. Dancers, singers, and dramatic artists mostly hailed from the Shudra community, whereas learned historians, genealogists, and public speakers hailed from the Brahman community. All of them belonged to a particular caste, and they became so trained in their respective families. Such dramatists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, public speakers would dwell on the subject of the Lord's superhuman activities in different ages and millenniums, and not on ordinary events, nor were they in chronological order. All the Puranas are historical facts described only in relation with the Supreme Lord in different ages and times, as well as on different planets also. Therefore, we do not find any chronological order. The modern historians, therefore, cannot catch up the link, and thus they unauthoritatively remark that the Puranas are all imaginary stories only. Even 100 years ago in India, all dramatic performances were centered around the superhuman activities of the Supreme Lord. The common people would be very warily entertained by the performances of dramas and yatra parties played wonderfully on the superhuman activities of the Lord, and thus even the illiterate agriculturists would be a participant in the knowledge of Vedic literature, despite a considerable lack of academic qualifications. Therefore, expert players in drama, dancers, singers, speakers, etc., are required for the spiritual enlightenment of the common man. The genealogist would give account completely of the descendants of a particular family. Even at the present moment, the guides in the pilgrim sites of India submit a complete account of genealogical tables before a newcomer. This wonderful act sometimes attracts more customers to receive such important information.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very interesting. Yes. Any comment?
It's still going on, these dramas and all that, especially Ram Leela. So you will find in every village, even till today, there will be Ram Leela, there will be Krishna Janmashtami. So little plays are organized, and there are professional drama companies, and they charge. But that's the way the general public will get knowledge of. Every child in India knows about Ramayana through all these. In the villages, they will know this through. It's called Ram Leela, and now of course, you have got television, so you can watch Ramayana and Bharata and Mahabharata on television. But at least by watching, they know something. Rather than watching Coronation Street, they are watching Ramayana.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any question? If not, we move on to the next shloka, which is text 21, and I will take that on. Bhagavam stadrabandhunam puranam anuvartinam yatavid Tyupasangamya sarvesham manam attate. Translation. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, is neither impersonal nor an inert object, unable to reciprocate the feelings of his devotees. Here the word yathaviti, or just as it behooves, is significant. He reciprocates just as it behooves with his different types of admirers and devotees. Of course, the pure devotees are of one type only, because they have no other object of service but the Lord, and therefore the Lord also reciprocates with such pure devotees just as it behooves them. He is always attentive to all the matters of his pure devotees. There are others who designate him as impersonal. That's where I read it, where I told you earlier on. And so the Lord also does not take any personal interest. Again, that is a very significant passage. There are others who designate him, Krishna, as impersonal. And so the Lord also does not take any personal interest. He satisfies everyone in terms of one's development of spiritual consciousness. And a sample of such reciprocation is exhibited here with his different welcomers. Hare Krishna. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. That's Bhagavad Gita, Krishna saying. So as we reciprocate from our own consciousness and limited realization, then Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. If we just want broken glass, material assets, which are very, very temporary, then that is all we get. If we're searching for the Lord through knowledge, then we will get us knowledge. If we're searching and aspiring for bhakti, for devotion, then that is what we get. So very simple. And the impersonalists, they want to see the Lord impersonal, so he doesn't get personally involved with them. But with his pure devotees, he gets personally involved, as mentioned before. Very personally involved. So that's a beautiful shloka. Is there anything else to be said? That's the main message. Krishna is reciprocating accordingly. If there are any questions, we could ask now. If not, we move on to the next shloka. And I would like to ask Amar, can you read us shloka 22 we are on now?
Yeah,
How is
sure.
that?
Okay.
22.
Okay, I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert at
You
the,
don't have to depend or pretend anything here.
yeah,
Just read it.
I'll
We
well,
don't
no,
need to be experts to read the Bhagavad Gita shloka.
Oh, I thought we were reading the Srimad Bhagavad.
Srimad Bhagavatam shloka, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I thought, no, the reason why I say that is because the Sanskrit, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at the Sanskrit. So
Well, you try.
I'd much appreciate if you read the Sanskrit, to be fair.
Okay, no problem. Rashmi is actually quite expert in Sanskrit. Rashmi, can you read us that shloka? You are very good with your Sanskrit. Rashmi Mataji. Or have you gone to the cooking?
No, Prabhuji, I'm here.
Yes, go read us a shloka.
Bhagavam statra
No. 22. Praha, pravab.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Pravabhiva dana shlesha ashvashya chashpa kebhyo ashvashya chashva pakebhyo varish chabhimas mater vibhuhu.
You are cooking, right? It feels like when we hear you have a very spicy chance in your kitchen.
I'll
Yes,
tell you,
sir.
I will read it. Don't worry, I will read it if it's difficult. No problem.
Translation.
Okay, I'll read the translation. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Almighty Lord. Sorry, no. The translation is not. The purport is by Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances, and awarding benedictions, even to the lowest in rank. The purport by Srila Prabhupada: to receive the Lord Sri Krishna's there were all grades of population, beginning from Vasudeva, Ugrasena, and Garga Muni, the father, grandfather, and teacher, down to the prostitutes and kandalas, who are accustomed to eat dogs. And every one of them was properly greeted by the Lord in terms of rank and position. As pure living entities, all are the separated parts and parcels of the Lord, and thus no one is alien by his eternal relation. Such pure living entities are graded differently in terms of contamination of the modes of material nature, but the Lord is equally affectionate to all his parts and parcels, despite material gradation. He descends only to recall these materialistic living beings back to his kingdom, and intelligent persons take advantage of this facility offered by the personality of Godhead to all living beings. No one is rejected by the Lord from the kingdom of God, and it remains with the living being to accept this or not.
Thank you very much, Amma. Is there anything to be said about this shloka?
I think this definitely reciprocates what I mentioned earlier, in that, it is that training, isn't it, to understand that everyone is part and parcel, from the top most, grandfather or teacher, as it mentions, down to the prostitutes and the kandalas. So I'm reminded actually that this is proven not only because Krishna is a part and parcel, is in the part and parcel of every entity is part and parcel of Sri Krishna, but also in Vedic culture, of course, the three states, the awake state, the dream state, and deep sleep state, which is known as Sushupti, as you're probably well aware of. Awake state and dream state, there are appearances in differences, right, amongst these different states. They appear to be different. However, Sushupti, deep sleep state, where there is no taint of material nature in neither physical body nor mind, because actually neither exist. This is actually a common thing amongst every single living being, from the richest to the poorest, from the most devotional to the least devotional, downtrodden. every single person at some point in deepest of sleep will have no body, no sense, no material understanding of anything, both in the body and or the mind. So that's why at that level, every living entity is equal, and that is actual scientific proof. But to add to that, the fact is, every single part and parcel, every single entity is part and parcel of the Lord Sri Krishna.
Okay, thank you. May I add something? Actually, mind is still there because mind is a subtle body. We have left in the deep sleep or the dreaming stage, we have left the material gross body and we have taken shelter of the subtle body, which is composed of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So these are existing. These are existing not only in sleep, deep sleep, dreaming. These are existing even when we move from one body to the next body. Because the mind is carrying us along with the soul, us, the soul. The mind is carrying us to our next destination. The mind only will leave this subtle body, material, subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego is still material. Bhumi apo nalo vayu, earth, water, fire, air, and so on. And so the finer elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So once we get the opportunity of moving up to the spiritual plane, to the spiritual world, then we're leaving this subtle body behind. And our mind is completely spiritualized. Not that there is no mind in the spiritual world, but it's a very different nature. It's completely spiritual in nature. There's no material trace. So within our sleeping state, yes, the mind is still there. And that is a body we have. We have always a body at any time, in the wake, in the sleep. Sometimes it's the gross body, and sometimes we take shelter of the subtle body.
I think there's a bit of confusion here, and I get, and this is open to debate. Of course, everything is open to debate here, but I'm not talking about the dream state. Dream state, of course, there's mind there. You're not aware of your body, even though you're sleeping in the awake state. But what I'm saying is, this is in the deepest sleep state, where actually there's utter, complete blankness. There is no mind either. I appreciate what you're saying, and again, it's open to debate. But the fact is, the only thing that remains in that deep sleep state, now this is according to Vedanta, the thing that exists, I'm not going to claim to be an expert at Vedanta, by the way, and but in the deep sleep state, which is Sushupti, which is different from the Sapna state, the dream state, is that there is no mind either. There is only one thing that exists in all three of them, and that is awareness, consciousness. Of course, the Atma exists regardless, but there is consciousness, there is awareness, and the only thing that exists in that is just total awareness. There is no mind thing, so in the sense whereby, your intellect, things like how good you are at maths, for example, how much of an architect you might be, how much.
Well, I guess it is how we understand what is mind. According to what I understand and what Srila Prabhupada is saying, as we at night we're taking shelter of. We never be without any body. There's always a body there. We take the soul. We take shelter of a body. Is it a gross body or a subtle body?
Oh yeah. There's a gross body, subtle body, and then there's there's a deeper body than the subtle body.
Subtle body, yes. But the
more,
subtle body is composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. Anyway, we don't want to get too much into that. We can discuss that more privately.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll
Otherwise,
details on that one. I don't know the
Okay,
names of them,
okay.
but yeah, we'll going forward. We'll go forward with this.
Okay, I want to mention one other point. Such pure living entities are graded differently in terms of contamination of the modes of material nature. So that is very interesting. That the living entities, Krishna created them according to rank and position. So that rank and position depends on being graded in terms of the contamination of the modes of material nature. If we're covered by ignorance and we are in one type of position and we're doing one type of activities and engaging and we have one type of social status. So if we are pure and in knowledge, in the Brahminical modes, then naturally will engage in this kind of work. So it all depends on the modes of material nature. It is not a fixed caste system or grading system. It is, we can change the mode of nature we are in. That can be changed by training and by knowledge and by Krishna consciousness. We can come, and we have seen devotees coming from the deepest pits of ignorance and taking to Krishna consciousness and getting elevated from the mode of tamagun to sattvagun and even higher to the spiritual plane. So I thought that was just worthwhile of mentioning. Are there any questions, or shall we move on to text 23? Welcome, Vaishana Mataji.
Sorry, apologies for the delay.
Oh, yes. Will we accept those apologies? Not so sure. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And we are happy you are here. Hare Krishna.
We can accept them if she takes on the next sloka.
Exactly. That is just what I wanted to say. Could you give us a reading of the next shloka, please?
You'll have
Which
to put
is
it on the chat.
23. Yes, that is happening if people are missing the beginning, then we'll have to post it again. What shloka is it again?
I think we're on
23. Okay, 23. I have to. Here we go. Vaishana Mataji. 23 is here. So give us a reading.
Oh, can you hear
Starting
me?
with Swayam. Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay.
Amma, your microphone you're speaking is quite low in volume. I don't know if you can do something about that. It's okay, we could hear it, but in comparison, Vaishana is much more louder. I'm, of course, much more louder. I have a proper microphone here. But my experience is the best it works if you be on Zoom with your mobile, and you have, when you got your handset, there came an earphone and a headphone set, which you put into your ears, and it has a little microphone piece on the wire. That works best because the microphone is very close to you, and that works very nice, and you can also hear very nicely. Okay, Vaishana Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Swayamacha gurubhir vipraiha sadaraiha stavirer api asirbhir yujyamano nyer vandibhisha chavishat puram. Translation. Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid Brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praised the glories of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The Brahmanas in society were never attentive to banking money for future retired life. When they were old invalids, they used to approach with their wives the assembly of the kings, and simply by praising the glorious deeds performed by the kings, they would be provided with all necessities of life. Such Brahmanas were not, so to speak, flatterers of the kings, but the kings were actually glorified by their actions, and they were sincerely still more encouraged in pious acts by such Brahmanas in a dignified way. Lord Shri Krishna is worthy of all glories, and the praying Brahmanas and others were glorified themselves by chanting the glories of the Lord.
Very interesting. Thank you. What needs to be said about that, Vaishana Mataji?
Don't know, actually. It just went through my head, to be honest.
Oh, it's very, pick a point.
This is, where are we now? It's with the saying, the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by relatives and invalid Brahmanas. I was going to say invalid, but it's invalid, isn't it? Brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and praising the Lord.
What do you feel is important here?
Well, this talking about more about the invalid Brahmanas with their wives and the singing the glories of the Lord.
Of course, one point you just mentioned is quite nice. The Brahmanas, invalid or not invalid, they were with their wives.
Yeah.
Not just the wives had to stay at home when the Brahmanas came. No, the wives came along. And when yagyas were performed, the wives were also there. It was very important that the wives of the Brahmins were there when the yagya was performed. What else is important?
It's talking about the kings that they provided all the necessities of life. So they're talking about the Brahmanas.
Why? Didn't they have any jobs?
Well, it mentioned here, although they weren't flatterers of the kings, but the kings actually glorified the Brahmanas' actions. And
the Brahmanas glorified the king's actions.
Yes, it's about encouraging doing the pious acts in a dignified way.
Isn't that nice? To maintain yourself, you just go to the king, and these kings were qualified at that time. It's not like prime ministers and presidents today. They also like to be praised, but they're not praiseworthy. So these kings were praiseworthy, certainly the Maharaj Yudhishthira and Parikshit Maharaj and many other kings. They were representatives of God, as they were Krishna conscious, spiritually advanced personalities. So isn't that nice? The Brahmins, they were not attentive in banking money. Basically, it means they had no livelihood by working. Maybe they had some students and got some dakshin, Guru Dakshin, and teaching some students. But they just went to the courts, they went to the king and singing in praise and speaking in praise, and then they were maintained by the king. So that's a pretty carefree life for the Brahmins. They were living very simple, of course, very, very simple. Their material needs were almost nil. And they were fully dedicated to their studies and to Krishna consciousness. But the kings also, these were very pious kings. They knew how important it is to maintain the Brahmanas, because the Brahmanas had no other profession or other sources of income, not like the Vaishyas who were doing business and trading and banking money and so on and so on. And these Brahmanas were not flatterers, as you mentioned, Vaishana Mataji. Nowadays we have people talking, flattering presidents and prime ministers. These are all flatterers. They don't mean it. If the prime minister is booted out of his position, then they're turning around and cursing him. These are not. These are flatterers. Flatterer, it means they're speaking only nicely. Oh, my dear Prime Minister, you are so nice. So nice policies you have. You are almost like Winston Churchill. You know who I mean. Hare Krishna. But they're not serious. They're just flattering in order to take advantage of their own position. If they flatter enough, then they will be ending up in the cabinet eventually. So that's a very different situation as it was some 5,000 years ago. Anyone has anything else to say? Anything else? Anyone? Questions? If not, we move into the next shloka. Rushika, I'm so really, you need to sort out your microphone somehow or other. Can we hear you, Rushika? No. There is a problem. I don't know what is a problem. If you're on a mobile, a headphone might help. I mean, if you're speaking on your phone, you're speaking on your phone with friends and family and so on, then why shouldn't it work? There was a bit of a sound, but... Or is your internet connection? There's an echo. I can hear myself. So I think we'll have to skip you. I'm so sorry. We need to work it out. Rashmi, back to you. And then we do a bit of sharing and perhaps we finish a little bit more earlier. Huh?
Are we on 23?
24.
24. 24. Raja Margam Gate Krishne Dwarakaya Kula Striya Harm Yanyaruhur Vipra Tadikshana Mahotsavaha. Translation. When Lord Krishna passed over the public road, all the ladies from the respectable families of Dwarka went up to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival. Papa, to have a look at the Lord is a great festive occasion undoubtedly, as it was considered by the metropolitan ladies of Dwarka. This is still followed by the devout ladies of India, especially during the days of the Julan and Janmashtami ceremonies. The ladies of India still throng up in the greatest number at Temple of the Lord, where his transcendental eternal form is worshipped. The transcendental form of the Lord installed in a temple is not different from the Lord personally. Such a form of the Lord is called Archa Vigraha or Archa Incarnation and is expanded by the Lord by his internal potency just to facilitate the devotional service of his innumerable devotees who are in the material world. The material senses cannot perceive the spiritual nature of the Lord, and therefore the Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha, which is apparently made of material elements like earth, wood, or stone, but actually there is no material contamination. The Lord being Kaivalya, one alone, there is no matter in him. He is one without a second, and therefore the Almighty Lord can appear in any form without being contaminated by the material conception. Therefore, festivities in the temple of the Lord, as held generally, are like festivals performed during the manifestive days of the Lord of Dwarka about 5,000 years ago. The authorized acharyas, who know the science perfectly, installed such temples of the Lord under regulative principles just to offer facilities to the common man. But persons who are less intelligent, without being conversant with the science, mistake this great attempt to be idol worship and poke their nose into that to which they have no access. Therefore, the ladies or men who observe festivals in the temples of the Lord just to have a look at the transcendental form are 1,000 times more glorious than those who are non-believers in the transcendental form of the Lord. It appears from the verse that the inhabitants of Dwarka were all owners of big palaces. This indicates the prosperity of the city. The ladies got up on the roofs just to have a look at the procession and the Lord. The ladies did not mix with the crowd on the street, and thus their respectability was perfectly observed. There was no artificial equality with the man. Female respectability is preserved more elegantly by keeping the woman separate from the man. The sexes should not mix unrestrictedly.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Rashmi Mataji. Anything to be said?
It's very, very nice purport. It's such a nice purport. There's three important points here. One is the most where Prabhupada is telling us about Krishna in his form as his deity, whether the deity is of metal, whether the deity is of metal, wood, stone, it is in the temple or it is in the house. I remember some time ago during Bhagavad Gita class, Mataji was explaining to us that even when we have a deity at home and it has not gone through the formal, where you invoke the Lord into the deity, that process, pran pratishta. So even if it has not gone through that, if the deity is in your house or you go to anybody's house, there is a deity, then there is no differentiation between the temple, the deity in the temple and the deity in somebody's house. It is still Krishna. And if you do not look after the deity, so the more you look after that little deity, it could be Laddu Gopal, it could be Gauranitai, whoever, Radha Krishna, the more you look after them, the more they manifest. And if you do not look after them, the Lord leaves. So it is very important that if we are actually, she was telling us how we should not really jump into deity worship if we are not ready. But however, if we do have deities at home, then how it is important to look after them. The altar and the room of the altar should be spotless, like you would keep your kitchen. Everything in that room should be clean. The deity is actually none other than the Lord. There is no difference between Vishnu and the deity. So she told us even Laddu Gopal. So people who have Laddu Gopal, she was telling us that there is a tendency to sort of, because he's in a baby form, it's all right, she said it's not all right. It is Vishnu. It is not all right. If you have taken a deity in your house, then he should not be treated like an unwelcome guest. He's Vishnu himself. So that's the importance of Archa Vigraha, and that is the importance of installing these temples. So when we are going into the temple to have darshan, we are not having darshan of a piece of metal in the form of Krishna. He's actually Krishna, and Krishna is pleased when he sees us. When we come to have his darshan, Krishna is also having darshan of us. So it pleases him to see us there in the temple. So that is the importance of idol worship, or not idol worship, of the Archa Vigraha, which people in India call idol worship. Then the other thing is about these inhabitants of Dwarka, how they were owner of big palaces. So I've been reading in this month of Kartik, I was reading Gopi Geet, and in the first shloka of Gopi Geet, it says that the gopis are saying that as soon as Krishna took birth, he appeared in the land of Braj. Lakshmi, the lady, the goddess of fortune, since then, she came at that time and she took dwelling in Braj, and she has never gone back. So Braj, wherever Krishna is there, the goddess of fortune has to be there, which is why all these cities, places were very opulent. People were very happy because the goddess of fortune followed Krishna. Of course, she will follow Krishna. She is her master. These are the two main points. And I like the
Thank
third
you.
point. Third point is sexes should not intermingly, should not mix unrestrictedly. That is
Absolutely.
also.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, beautiful, nicely explained. Idol worship, you mentioned, and almost not idol worship, finding excuses. In the previous time, these terms, idol worship or sect, which is mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's writing, these were not negative terms. And in India, people may say idol worship, but that is not a negative connotation which we have learned from Christianity. Don't have any idol beyond me or whatever. And he speaks about idol worship, making a golden calf in the Bible. It's explained in Moses, the people were, while he was on the Mount Sinai, they made a golden calf and worshipped the golden calf, just by their own imagination, not authorized process, not authorized Archa Vigraha, nothing of that. That is idol worship. But the term idol worship was accepted as much as the term sect. It meant a group. Nowadays we hear sect, we immediately think, oh, that is some weird kind of people who are abusing children and abusing other members and having all kind of sexual relationships amongst each other, and. So that needs to be noted when we read in the pages of Bhagavatam these terms. They had a different connotations then. Regarding that the deity is Krishna, there's a beautiful story. I do believe it was at Srivas Pandit's house. Said Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have been visiting there. And Srivas Pandit, they had a beautiful Gonitai on the altar, beautiful altar. And so they have been feeding the lords, and then the lords wanted to leave. And then Srivas Pandit and his wife, he said, no, please stay. We cannot bear you leaving. It is so wonderful of having you here. And then the Lord said, but we are here, look, on the altar, here we are. Now, but I mean, we mean not you, the deities on the altar, they're here, yes, but you in personal here. And then Lord Chaitanya said, there is no difference, because obviously they saw a difference. And then Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they jumped on the altar and standing there, hands up, like Gonitai, and the deities jumped down and ready to leave her. And then Srivas Pandit said, no, you cannot leave like that. This is the deities. And that was going forth and back a few times. And he got completely confused. He couldn't say anymore, which is a deity, which is a lord, so to speak. So these are some stories, true stories, found probably in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. So there is no difference. And then we have the beautiful story, of course, of Sakshi Gopal, the witness. You all know that story, where a young poor fellow has accompanied an elderly Brahmin just out of affection to pilgrimage. And that elderly Brahmin was so pleased with that service, he couldn't have done all this journey on pilgrimage on his own. So that young boy was serving him in such a wonderful way. So that Brahmin said, I feel so grateful to you. I want to give you something. The boy said, I'm not doing business with you. I just followed my heart, and I just wanted to assist you. Not for any reward or nothing. Yes, I know, the Brahmin said, the elderly Brahmin. I know, but still, I want to reciprocate. I want to give you something. And in fact, I have decided I will give you my daughter in marriage. And the young Brahmin said, no, you cannot do that. I'm a very poor fellow, and you are an aristocratic rich. You may say that now, but when you back home, your wife and your son and relatives will curse you. don't take that serious. And the old elder Brahmin said, no, I mean it very serious. It's my daughter, so nobody can stop me. I want to give you my daughter in marriage. Then the young Brahmin said, well, if that is really what you want, and I cannot persuade you otherwise, then let's say it before the deity is there. There's a temple, let's go in, and you promise in front of the deity, just to make it proper. Older Brahmin said, yeah, no problem. And so went in front of the deities, and he made his promise, and then they went home, walking. And when they were in the village, elderly Brahmin went to his family, and the young boy went to his place. And he told his wife, I had such a wonderful time, and this young Brahmin has helped me so much. Out of gratitude, I promised him the hand of our daughter. What? You cannot do that? I mean, that is not... Our social status will be ruined. He is just no one. He is very poor fellow, and we are well-established aristocratic, and so on. The wife was just getting completely worked up and said, if you do that, I will take poison and die. That's the last resort. The womanly resort, is it? I'll take poison and die. In India, today is not. Today, I'll divorce you. Bye-bye. So, and the son also, he was totally against. And the Brahmin, he didn't know what to say. He had promised in front of the Lord, and suddenly the family members were so much against all of that. And after some time, he didn't initiate anything. The son, in fact, told his father, just if someone asks her, if a young fellow comes, just say, I don't remember having made that promise. So after some time, the young Brahmin, he didn't hear anything. He went to the house. It's not that he wanted his daughter. He wanted to keep the promise of this elderly Brahmin, that he doesn't break his promise. That was his motive. To have his daughter or not his daughter, that didn't really matter at all. But what mattered to him is that the Brahmin didn't break his promise. He promised in front of the Lord, so that promise has to be kept. So he came, and they're all coming out, and they chased him away with a stick. And then he came again, and then it was such a commotion that the whole village assembled. And what's going on here? What's going on? Then the son spoke up. Let me explain. My father is very elderly. He was accompanied by this young thief, actually. And he claims that he helped my father, but actually he gave him some beverage and he got intoxicated and robbed him of his possession. And now he says, my father has promised to give him our daughter as his wife. And the young Brahmin said, no, he has promised in front of the Lord at the temple, Gopal. And then nobody really knew what to do until someone amongst the assembled villagers, Brahmin, he said, okay, so why, if the Lord, the Gopal is witness, then let him bear witness. Let him come here. And the son of the father's son immediately, oh, yeah. He was an atheist. Let him come here. The deity cannot come here. Yes, I agree. I'll give my daughter if the deity comes here. So, okay, the young Brahmin had all faith in the Lord. He went a long journey back to Vrindavan. And he came to the temple and he said, my dear Lord, I have a problem. That Brahmin in front of you promised that he will give his daughter in marriage to me. I'm not concerned about the daughter, but I'm concerned that the Brahmin keeps his promise. So I therefore ask you humbly, please come with me. What a faith this boy had. What a faith. He knew exactly Krishna and the Murti are non-different. So if you could kindly come with me and bear witness back to the village. And then Krishna said, have you ever heard of a deity that can walk? There's not such a thing. And then the Brahmin was also very sharp. He said, well, if you can talk, you can also walk. And then Krishna has been tricked. And he said, okay, he agreed. True, what can he say? If he can talk, he can also walk. So he agreed. And under one condition, you have to offer me 1 kilo of rice every day. And you never turn around. You will hear that I'm behind you on the tinkling of my ankle bells. If you turn around, then I will stop at that spot and not walk any further. Okay, deal. So went, and he heard the tinkling, and in the evening he offered the rice as instructed, and days and weeks passed, and he walked, and the tinkling sound behind him until at one point it stopped tinkling. And he thought, what's happening? And he couldn't help, he turned around. And there he stood and said, now I will stay here. Go to the villages. We are very close to the village. Bring them all here. I will bear witness. So he went to the village and said, Gopal has come, Gopal has come, Gopal has come. And all the villagers came. And yes, everybody was convinced. This young boy could possibly not carry that long way the deity from Vrindavan to here. And Gopal has come. Everybody agreed. Gopal has come. Okay. The daughter got married to the young Brahmin. That's just a little bit of a beautiful story of Shakshi Gopal, the deity who bears witness. So there's so many stories. There's a deity, Kshirakora Gopinath, who stole the sweet rice from Madhavendra Puri. That's also there. Beautiful story. Or the story of the family, the Brahmin family. They had one son, young son, and he observed his father doing the puja and the offering and so on. His father went, the mother cooked the prasadam, the father went into the temple room, behind the curtain, he offered it, the boy could hear the bell ringing, father came out and leaving the plates there for some time. And then, like that, and the family basically lived off the Mahaprasad. But one day, the father had to go for some urgent business to a more distant town. He said to his boy, now you're not that young anymore. You have seen me doing the prayers and offering the food and like that. So I want you to offer the food. Your mother will cook the food like before, and you will offer the food to the Lord while I'm away, once a day. The boy was very enthusiastic. Oh, yes, you got a big duty. Very nice. So the father went, and the boy, the first day, the mother cooked nice prasadam. The boy, with a plate, went into the temple room, the altar, and he put the plate down in front of the deity, and he rang the bell and did the prayers as instructed. He came out, waited for some time, and came back. And to his astonishment, the plate was untouched. Obviously, he has never really observed when his father came out with the plate, it was also untouched, but that he didn't. I mean, his father only told him, make sure the Lord is eating. So the boy got, oh, I must have done something wrong. The Lord is not eating. He was very afraid. Okay, he went back and did the prayers again. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. Namo Mahavedanya Krishna, Namo Brahmanya Devego Brahmani Jaja. Like that. And he came out and he waited some time and went in again, and the plates are untouched. Then he became he was praying to Krishna, please, please, my Lord, please eat his food. Because if my father finds out, he's going to beat me. He's going to be very angry with me. I have done something wrong, and please, he begged Krishna, please eat this prasad. It was going 3 times. When he came, after the 3rd time he came in, the prasadam was eaten. Everything on the plate. Oh, he was very happy. Oh, thank you, Krishna. So he went to his mother with an empty plate, and she said, where's the Mahaprasadam? Where's the Mahaprasadam? The Krishna ate it. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Krishna ate it. Doesn't work like that. He never worked like that. So we're gonna starve now today? You have nothing to eat? I'll tell your father. That's not right. You should eat all the Mahaprasadam. At least you could share it. So no faith. No faith. So that went on for a few days, and the father came back and she told him everything. He said Krishna has eaten her. He has eaten the Mahaprasad. He comes out of the altar with an empty plate. The Brahmin thought, well, that needs investigation. He had also not much faith. Krishna ate it. Yes, sure. So he said to the boy, can you do it one time more? I feel very tired. I just came back from a long journey. The boy said, okay. And the father hid himself in the temple room, in the altar, behind the curtain. And the boy prayed very hard. Please, Krishna, accept that prasadam, that foodstuff, as you have done all the 3 days. Please, please, otherwise I will be in trouble. And then the boy went out. And then Krishna extended his hands and eating this prasadam. And then the faceless Brahmin jumped out behind the curtain and said, oh, wait a minute, you can't do that. That is not supposed to happen. And Krishna was shocked, seemingly, while this Brahmin jumped out, because you're not supposed to be in the altar while Krishna is eating. He's eating alone. As much as Srila Prabhupada was mostly eating alone also. All the great Vaishnavas, not in public. So he was shocked, and he just had this sweet rice, which was still hot. We're not supposed to offer hot sweet rice. Anyway, it was hot. And that sweet rice spilled on his Archa Vigraha Murti. And it made a mark. That deity still exists, and one can see the mark from the hot sweet rice. As a result, all other descendants from that Brahmin, this line was dying out. No descendants. But the descendants of that boy that flourished. So, beautiful story of the deity who spilled the sweet rice. Hare Krishna. Okay, we're running 9 o'clock. Anyone has to say something? Anyone else has to share something?
Prabhuji, there was one question regarding what Rashmi Mataji was saying about the deities and the worshipping. One line she mentioned at the end was that if the Lord is not looked after properly, they will leave. Now, my question would be like, how do we know if the deities have left? For example, our temple has been closed, or we've not been able to serve the Lords as we want to. And even during the COVID or illness, we've not been able to do everything we want to. somebody like me, I mean, I do it one day and the next day I'm flat on my face or something like that. So how does one know if the deities have left?
You will know. You will know because you will only see stone and marble and metal and nothing else. Then you know
Really?
the deity has left. Yes.
But how
But
do we
if
know?
you see, you will know yourself if Krishna is there, if it's not just stone and metal, that actually Krishna is actually there and he will reciprocate with you.
Well,
Just
I'm
because,
waiting.
just because there are some bodily deficiencies of the servitor, there are many stories where, of course, these are highly advanced devotees. Vamshidas Babaji, for instance, you may have heard that name. He didn't look after his deity in conventional way with all the rituals and all the time schedule. Sometimes he didn't look after his deity for days and weeks, and other times he did. But he was an Avadutta. He was a highly advanced person. He never spoke to anybody. He spoke, everything he spoke was via his Gopal, via his deity. So when I'm speaking with you and you ask her, when can I come and dress the lotus? And Vamshidas Babaji would say, Gopal, she wants to know when she can dress the Lord. And then after some time, he would say, Gopal said, not now, next week. So like that. But that is a very advanced devotee. But you will know if the deity has left or if the deity is there. And I can assure you, at the temple, the deities, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and Giriraj are very much there. If
Thank
that
you. I'm
helps.
coming then. I'm coming to see
Hare
them
Krishna.
then.
Yes, you will come on Friday. Did you all hear
Yes.
that? Vaishana Mataji will come on Friday and give them a long deserved bath and some new dresses and probably some prasadam as well.
Thank you. Hare
Amar.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you'll definitely
Come a bit closer, speak a bit louder, if you can.
Okay, sorry. My regarding my microphone.
That's better.
Yeah, my microphone port doesn't work. It's broken. So
Oh.
that's the joys of parenting a 2-year-old toddler while giving him my phone.
Okay.
It's not a good idea. It's a recipe for disaster. That is to your headphone jack. So headphone port. So I definitely recommend not to do that. So yeah, I don't have the headphones on this phone. But anyway, yeah, I definitely agree. You will definitely know when the deity is not, is no longer a deity and just a material, because the deity will stop speaking with you in your deepest prayer. Only when you're in your deepest prayers, most surrendered state, as completely sincere state, and it has to be continuously regular. Only then you will know of a presence there, and not just that, Krishna will speak with you. He will say, he will tell you, he'll give you words and actually tell you that how to spiritually advance yourself, whether that be through a penance, through charity, through any other sacrifice. He will actually guide you, tell you, okay, you've completed this, now you go on to the next step, or you advance in that same step. That is confirmation that you will know. Such as, for example, if you are destined to perform some sort of charitable service, he will, in your most sincere prayers and surrender, he will actually, while you're in front of the deity, he will actually tell you, whisper it in your ear, that right, you go and perform, I don't know, food for life, some kind of charity, he will tell you that personally. That's how you know that he is there. I just want to add that. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I'll be waiting, Amar, for somebody to tell me that.
There is a very nice verse, Amma. Tesham sattata yuktanam bhachatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted of serving me with love, constantly, I give the understanding by which seven come to me. So Krishna is reciprocating within the heart. He will give the understanding from within. How the devotee can make spiritual progress? If the devotee is constantly serving him with love. Okay, I think here we stop for tonight. It was beautiful, very nice. And we'll hopefully see you on Wednesday for our Bhagavad Gita workshop, if not on next Saturday. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.